All right, look, y'all. The Baltimore Ravens schedule has been released, and I know we're all excited to see what type of games we get to jump into in just a couple of months. How long? I mean, how long we got? I mean, we got that much longer. All right, we got that much longer. We in May. We got June, July, August. I mean, we right there. Look, we right there, and I feel like I'm not the only one that's really excited. I think we're all really excited for this upcoming slate of games because the crazy part is when the Ravens have a tough schedule, it just makes it that much better to watch this team play and to know this team's potential. But also, Derrick Henry signed an extension, and what does that mean for the Ravens for the foreseeable future? Because a running back over 30 signed an extension with a team that he's shown time and time again that he's valuable to this team. It makes you think, what does that mean? What is locked in for the Ravens that maybe we don't know? That and very much more right here on the Be More Show. Stay tuned, get your popcorn, get your drink. Let's get into this conversation about these Baltimore Ravens.
Later in the week.
All right, y'all, welcome in to the Be More Show. We back once again. Look, I was going to do this yesterday on my normal Thursday time, but time got away from me, so I'm sitting here hanging out with y'all on a Friday after a long work week. Unless you work weekends, then you kind of in the middle. You kind of in the middle of your work week, and I waited. I was going to do like a reaction to the Ravens release video, but I didn't want to get a copyright strike. So I just watched it. I'm coming fresh off of it. First off, let's talk about the video, then we'll get into the schedule. I thought the video was fun. I don't necessarily understand that real quick. I don't necessarily understand. I didn't necessarily understand the concept. Feel free to cue me in below on what the concept was. I know a lot of people did some Minecraft type things and stuff like that. You know, everybody got their own thing. I didn't understand the concept, but I thought it was, I thought it was funny. I thought it was entertaining. But I thought it was interesting because I felt like they kind of jumped around a little bit too in the video, right? Like, we got a game here, a game there, got some Easter eggs to some other games. I think the Lions game was one of the first ones that was revealed to us in the locker. So, I mean, I kind of liked EDC's role in it a little bit. I thought that was kind of interesting. I think he's honestly too good at that little robotic character he played. But anywho, let's get into this schedule, man. Let's get into this schedule, and it's very interesting, y'all. It really is. It really is, because I feel like, given the schedule, it's a tough start, y'all. This is a tough start, and they got some weird games in some weird places. But I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe every team is like this and I'm just biased, but I feel like the Ravens have weird games in weird places every year as opposed to other teams. But like I said, I don't analyze everybody else's schedule. I analyze the Ravens schedule. And I think I also understand that we play in the best division in football. So because of that, some of the scheduling aspects make me think a little bit. I don't know about y'all, but anywho, look, y'all. We start now with the Buffalo Bills. I'm going to pull it up for y'all so y'all can hang out and see it with me. All right. So, excuse me. Hopefully y'all can see that. We starting off with the Buffalo Bills on Sunday Night Football, which is interesting, right? Which is interesting because the Buffalo Bills on Sunday Night Football, you get a rematch of the team you played last year. You're going back to Buffalo on top of that. So you're going on the road, very, very similar, honestly, to what it was last year when you had the Chiefs. You had a tough game, a game where it's not that you can't beat this team, but your last battle against this team was not your best battle against this team. And I think it's the same way with the Buffalo Bills going into this one. You don't know what Bills team is going to show up, and, it's regular season Bills versus playoff Bills, so that could be, obviously we saw early on in the season what the Ravens could do against the Bills, and then they decided in the playoffs that they won't go and do the same thing. But anywho, then you got the Cleveland Browns, which I think is a shot back down to earth because you don't know what the Cleveland Browns are. But I will say this, the Ravens have a tendency to split with the Cleveland Browns. So that's another part of it too that makes you think like, I don't know how that one could go, but I think early in the season, I think the Ravens will win that game. I think if you go down to what is that, week 11, week 11 on the road, maybe once the Browns figure themselves out. But I mean, honestly, I can see the Ravens. I can see the Ravens sweeping the Browns, to be honest, this year, because of who the Browns are this season. I don't think they're unless Shedeur Sanders comes in and just lights the world on fire, which I don't know if that's going to happen either. You're talking about a rookie having to come in and try to save the day in one of the toughest divisions of football. I think that's tough. I think that's tough sledding. I think it's tough to ask for. But that Browns game, still it's a divisional game. So honestly, you can come out hyped up against the Bills and then find yourself back down to earth against the Browns. And the reason I say that is because the Browns are a divisional opponent, and everybody's going to be hyped for the Bills game. I mean, it's just how it's going to be. Because last year the Ravens started what, 2-2? If I'm not mistaken, they started 2-2 because I know they dropped the first one against the Chiefs and they dropped the second one, which I'm blanking on who it was. But I know week 4, I think it was the Bills from last year, and then I can't remember the other two that's in between there. But I know. I mean, it's kind of interesting because when you look at it, I'm gonna break it down all the way to the bye. So that's week 1 through 6, which the Ravens have an early bye this year, which is always interesting, right? It's always interesting how the bye week falls as well. So you got the Bills in week 1 on the road. You got 2 games at home. Excuse me, 2 games at home against the Browns and the Lions, which is interesting. Which I mean, going back with the Lions again, that's a tough one to do too. And then in Arrowhead against the Chiefs, I mean, don't want to say almost impossible to beat them there, but they're a tough team to beat there, right? We all know that. And then home against the Texans, home against the Rams, and you got your bye week. So, right? That's a tough little slate of games right there because the Rams, honestly, the Rams kind of caught fire late last year. I think they're going to continue that fire, so they could be really good. I think the Texans are going to bounce back, and they're going to be really good. I think, especially considering you kind of look at the turmoil in that division too. I think the Texans could be pretty good and find themselves winning that division again. I think, obviously, the Chiefs on the road. I mean, like the first 6 weeks of this schedule is rough. Is rough. I mean, especially when you look at week 8 through 12, it's not as bad, right? It's not as bad. There's a tough stretch with 13 through 15, but weeks 8 through 12, I mean, you can win all of those games, right? You can win all of those games with, I think the toughest one being the Dolphins game, but you just never know what Dolphins team is going to show up either. So going back to week 1 through 6, and I'm not going to necessarily give any sort of like prediction this far along because I know I'm probably going to get with Rabbit, and we're probably going to talk about the Ravens and the Bears schedule at some point in time. But just like way too early looking into it, I feel like the Bills week 1, that's tough. That's tough. I think there's going to be a lot of emotion riding on it. I think it could be one of those games, kind of like last year with the Chiefs, where it's like it goes completely down to the wire, right? Completely down to the wire. To answer my question down below, do I think the Ravens started out with a losing season? No. Could they? Of course. I mean, there's always a possibility. But I mean, I think realistically, I think they could beat the Bills. I think they definitely beat the Browns. Honestly, I think they definitely beat the Lions too. And another primetime game, I think they definitely beat the Lions. And I think they've shown to be pretty good in primetime against the Lions specifically. And then the Chiefs on the road, that's, like I said, that's a tough one. That can honestly be a 2-2 start right there, right? I mean, I know it's got the ability to be 1-3. I was kind of preparing for the show, and I'm like, that's got the ability to be a 1-3 start right here, right? Because, and I mean, some people could go to the complete far extreme of an 0-3 start. I mean, an 0-4 start, but I mean, I don't think the Ravens lose to the Browns at least. Like, I think at least they beat the Browns, even in a tough stretch to start the season. I think they beat the Browns, but even still, I mean, you could be looking at a 1-2 win first 6 weeks of the season. Now, do I think that's going to happen? No, because honestly, I think the Ravens will be more prepared against the Buffalo Bills. I think they should absolutely dominate the Cleveland Browns. I think they should once again play really well against the Lions. I think the Chiefs on the road is the toughest one because that's the Chiefs on the road. But I mean, I think we've seen, I mean, unless the Chiefs find themselves, that the Chiefs are not nearly as good as maybe their record indicated last year. And I think it still was the same way, even though they got all the way to the Super Bowl. The Texans, like I said, I think they're gonna be back, but I think the Ravens have shown the Texans time and time again what they can do against the Texans, right? Then you got the LA Rams, and I think it's another tough game, right? I think it's another tough game, but I think the Ravens do have the advantage against the Rams because of the cross country trip for them, right? Because the Ravens are going to be, 2 straight home games, so they're going to be well rested going into this. And I think it's another good thing too that they'll be at home twice before the bye week, and then they're still at home after the bye week, because I think the way the bye week is set up at being week 7, I think that's advantageous for the Ravens because they can really rest up week 5 and 6, not in terms of the quality of who they're playing, but just being at home, being comfortable. Then you got the Bears, right? Then you got the Bears. And I think with the Bears, it's interesting, I think the Bears should take a step forward this year, but I think by week 8, playing against the Ravens specifically, I think it's going to be tough. But then, like you said, post bye week, you got the Bears and you got the Dolphins. Just like I said, I'm just going to roughly go through it. The Dolphins, I think they could be a win too. Now, you got the Dolphins on the road, right? Which is always tough with the heat and everything. By October 30th, though, I mean, it's still going to be pretty warm for Miami, but against the Dolphins, I think the Dolphins got question marks, right? I think the Dolphins got question marks. And I know Tyreek Hill is still around, but I don't know if he's still around. I don't know. You never know what you're going to get out of the Vikings this year because JJ McCarthy's is going to be a guy for them. And I mean, he's going to have to be their guy, I think, because Sam Darnold's gone. So there's that part of it too. And then you got the Browns again. Like I said, I think if the Ravens do split with the Browns, they'll split the second part of that than they would the first part. Let me try to remember where Sam Darnold went. Oh, he went to the Seahawks. That's right. He's their guy. He's a Seahawks guy this year. That's right. Okay. So I don't know why my brain wanted me to think that he went to the Jets or something. But anyway, speaking of the Jets, another team where it's like you just don't know what they have. You just don't know. I mean, I have no idea what the Jets have. I have no idea what even makes the Jets remotely dangerous. Because I mean, honestly, I don't know. I don't even know the Aaron Rodgers situation. I mean, I know he's been released, right? But, and I guess I'm wondering too, is he going to join the Steelers? I know that's been kind of a talking point too, because the Steelers are in a rough. If Aaron Rodgers don't join the Steelers, they're kind of in a rough situation themselves. I mean, I know Mike Tomlin finds a way, but I mean, it's just going to be tough. I mean, you're talking about a team going from practically first to last. I know they weren't technically first last year, but they played well enough to be there throughout points of the season. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to see. I'm just trying to do some quick research on this Aaron Rodgers situation because I honestly don't know. Because between joining the AFC North. Oh, it says AFC North Giants. I was so confused for a minute there. Okay, I see what they're saying. The Steelers are the AFC North Giants. But it's not. I wish they would just get to the. I honestly, I don't know the Aaron Rodgers situation. Honestly, it says is expected to join them next month, and I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Now, Aaron Rodgers at this point in his career is he necessarily dangerous to me? I'm not sure, but back to the Jets because that's where we're at. So with the Jets, I think that's another easy win. I mean, I don't know. I couldn't tell you who is even on the Jets. I couldn't tell you who the Jets quarterback is right now. I mean, I just can't. I just can't right now. Let's look it up real quick and see what we see. Oh, I forgot they do got Justin Fields. I don't know. Honestly, the Jets might be okay. I think the Jets gonna be slow starters though. Honestly, they're gonna be slow starters. But by the time week 12 come, they might have even found their rhythm. But I think honestly, I think Ravens Jets that should be a victory. I think even way too early on, that should be a victory. And then this is the weird part that I was telling you about before. Bengals, Steelers, Bengals. Like what the heck? Like I think sometimes I just think the schedule the schedule makers. I don't know what it is, what they have against the Ravens, right? Like, but they be putting the Steelers in weird spots, I feel like. And Bengals, Steelers, Bengals, that's the weird part to me. Why would they even do that? I've never really understood. I mean, like, maybe I need to do some research on how the schedules are made, but why would you even do Bengals, Steelers, Bengals? Like, I don't understand that. I don't get that. But I mean, honestly, I think that's 3 wins right there. Like I was telling y'all, and I've told y'all in the past with when I do these Ravens schedule releases, the Bengals. It's interesting that the Ravens don't play the Bengals early, right? We've talked about this before. This honestly could set up the Bengals to sweep the Ravens possibly because the Bengals are better on the back half of the season, right? There might be some collusion here. Okay. Anyway, look, this sets up the Bengals to actually play pretty well against the Ravens, right? Because they're not playing against us early on in the season. Usually, especially pre-bye week, especially weeks 1 through probably about 9 or so, the Bengals are awful, right? But by now they're gonna be at their tip-top shape, peak shape. I don't think they'll win both of those games. I think because of it's 3 games, and I mean, it'll be almost 4. But I mean, you got 4 or 5 of your games in that stretch are division games. Like that's crazy to me. Like that's wild to me. But anywho, whatever. Doesn't matter. So I think it's very interesting though. I think this is very interesting because to put the Steelers in the middle right there. I mean, I think honestly, I'm not expecting much from the Steelers. I'm really not. Raven, can you quit kicking my light down there? Look, I'm not expecting very much from the Steelers. The Bengals, I think Bengals twice, right? In 2 times in 3 weeks. I think that's the toughest part of this little stretch. But still, a very interesting stretch. Very interesting stretch. And then you got the Patriots, which I feel pretty good about. The Packers, which is a tough one, and the Steelers to end the season per usual. I think the thought is too, and it's interesting. I find it interesting. The Ravens tend to play the Steelers at the end of the season every single year, without fail. But I think it's interesting to see the Ravens playing the Steelers in week 18 specifically, right? Because they could have easily put one of these Bengals games at week 18. I think the league is predicting that the Bengals are not going to be good again this year. I think who you play, especially as much of a juggernaut as the Ravens have been, and you know that more than likely, if healthy, if not healthy, the Ravens are going to be there, right? Because the Ravens are going to be there, it just makes you think, right? It makes you think. Week 18, it's possible that, honestly, I feel like it's possible that the NFL feels like, or is predicting at least, that the Steelers, I didn't realize I could see my mouse. Anyway, that the Steelers will be possibly better than the Bengals, right? I think it's going to be a 3-team race, but it'll be interesting to see where the Bengals fit into this fray. I'm excited. I'm definitely excited, y'all. I'm excited. I'm all for a tough schedule, because I think like it does get you ready for the playoffs. But I think the thing about a tough schedule too for football fans is it's fun to watch. It makes it that much fun, that much more fun to watch. And we talked about this before, but the parity of everything, right? If you look at the schedule, and this is the last point I'm gonna do on the schedule. Of course, I'll talk about it a little bit later. But if you look at the schedule, look at how many teams are really good, right? I think it shows parity in the league, right? I think it shows parity in the league. Of course, you got the Bills. Right? We don't know who the Browns are going to be. You got a feeling that the Lions will be good. You got a feeling, right? They've been good the last couple of years. You got a feeling they'll be good. I mean, Super Bowl contenders for the last couple of years. So you got a feeling they'll be good. The Chiefs, we know who the Chiefs are. No need to be even explained. A leader, right? A division leader in the Texans, right? Rams won the division last year. They kind of came on last year. Still a really good team, right? They're still really good. The Bears, I think a team that's based on potential. I think that's what the Bears are. The Dolphins got the potential to be really good. The Vikings, we just don't know. The Browns, like we said, we just don't know. The Jets, we just don't know, right? The Bengals, potential to be really good. Will they be? Who knows? The Steelers, same thing. If they sign Aaron Rodgers, potential to be really good, but it just depends, right? I think it just depends. And of course, Green Bay. I mean, we can talk about the Patriots. I think they'll take a step up. I don't know if they'll be great, but they'll take a step up. Because they're young. And then, of course, the Packers, they're going to be good. Like, it's a fact. They're going to be good. We don't even need to even have that conversation. They're going to be good. So, I mean, I'm excited, y'all, for the schedule. I mean, what y'all think? Let me know below. Y'all think, feel free to leave your record predictions down there too as well. If you end up hanging out with me for a little bit, be sure to leave your record prediction down there as well. Should I give a way too early one? Should I? I mean, this is what it's all about, right? Should I go way too early one? All right, let me give a way too early one. All right, let's look back at it. I'm gonna pull it back up so y'all can go through it with me. All right. So, all right, way too early. Way too early. All right, way too early. Let's do it. So, I think the Ravens start the gate 3-0. Right? I think they're gonna come out emotional against the Bills. I think the Browns should be an easy one. It should be. Now we know it's AFC North. Right, but I'm saying 3-0 here because I think they're definitely capable of beating the Lions, definitely capable of beating the Bills, and we know for a fact they're capable of beating the Browns. Right, I think their first hiccup is going to be against the Kansas City Chiefs. Right, I think in Arrowhead, I think it's hard. Right, I think in Arrowhead, I think that's the part that's getting me. If it wasn't an Arrowhead, I might have another conversation. I think the Ravens play their best game to date though against the Chiefs right here. Right. I think in the moment, I think later on, going down the line a little bit later on, honestly, probably after this video, I'm probably gonna think that the Ravens will win this game right here against the Chiefs. I mean, honestly, I think they're gonna win against the Chiefs. For parity's sake and just understanding, I'm gonna say they're gonna lose this one and win the next two going into the bye week. Right. Honestly, I think it would almost be kind of odd for the Ravens to win all 6 of these games. So I got to give them one loss in that. So that's 5-1 right there, right? That's 5-1. They're gonna knock out the Bears at 6-1. They're gonna knock out the Dolphins at 7-1. That's a tough one though. Like I said before, that's a tough one though. I think, like I said, if they're gonna lose in this stretch, right? Like I said, I'm saying 6-1. Let me see. Wait. 5-1, 6-1, yeah, 7-1. But hypothetically speaking, let's just say 6-2 because I think it's possible they lose to the Dolphins, right? I think it's possible they lose to the Dolphins because the Dolphins are tough, right? So let's just go 6-2 on that one. All right, 6-2. I think they knock down this gauntlet of games right here with the Vikings, Browns, and Jets. So let's do 9-2. And then I think at some point they're gonna lose one of these games. I think they go 2-1 right here, right? So I said 6-2, 9-2. I said 2-1, so 3, and so what's that? 12-3. 12-3. They 12-3 right here. I think they finish strong to finish the season. I think 15. Well, it'll be 14-3 because it's 17 games, but 14-3 would be where I put them way too early. Right now, I mean, I think, like I said, we'll do a floor ceiling type situation later on. But I mean, that's definitely a ceiling right there, right? That's definitely a ceiling. And honestly, it's semi-floor because, like I said, I think they're going to play well against the Chiefs. But you kind of almost have to knock in a couple of games as potential losses. So, let's jump into the next topic real quick, y'all. Okay. Look, Derrick Henry has re-signed with the Ravens. What y'all think? What y'all think of this, man? Derrick Henry has re-signed with the Ravens. I'm excited. I'm excited. 2 years, $30 million. $30 million. Okay, 2 years, $30 million. Let's talk about it. So Derrick Henry has re-signed with the Ravens. I'm gonna be honest with y'all, and I'm gonna try to keep it short. But I'm gonna be honest with y'all. To me, this is a huge signing for the Ravens. And I think there is something that can be said about this signing, right? Derrick Henry at 30 years old, he'll be 31 this year. Let's just put it like this. Derrick Henry over 30 is still a top 5 rusher. Y'all can see a comment right there by chirping. What are the odds he repeats as a top 5 rusher at age 31? Honestly, Derrick Henry, and this is going to be a bold prediction. This is a bold prediction, but Derrick Henry might just be the best running back in this league, or let's just put it this way, because I got to be nice. Derrick Henry will be a top 5 rusher until he retires. I'm gonna go with that. I think Derrick Henry will be a top 5 rusher until he retires. And if he's not, if Derrick Henry, for whatever reason, is not a top 5 rusher until he retires, the 1 year that he slips down, I think he'll be done. I really do. Right? The one year that he slips down, I think he'll be done. I really do. Now, what are the odds that he's a top 5 rusher? I think Derrick Henry. Look, I think I might be being a little biased here, but Derrick Henry is probably. Oh, let's just put it this way, because I can. If I say it this way, it's kind of like saying allegedly. Derrick Henry is arguably the best running back this league has ever seen. That's a fact, right? Arguably the best running back this league's ever seen, right? But anywho, what does this mean for the Ravens? To me, this means that the Ravens are locked in. We've talked about this time and time again. The Ravens are this close to a Super Bowl. This close. This close. I'll let y'all see it. This close. They are a play here and a play there away from the Super Bowl. Honestly, they are 3 clean games, 4 clean games away from winning the Super Bowl. If they play football like they do throughout the rest of the season, they will definitely win a Super Bowl. Derrick Henry adds to that, because I've talked about this before. Derrick Henry creates an unstoppable force for this offense. As long as this offense isn't in its own way, this offense is borderline unstoppable, especially with Derrick Henry. And let's be honest, right? Let's just be honest about this. I talked about this. Raven, can you settle down? I talked about this last year. All right. Push that out of the way. I talked about this last year. So, or when the Ravens signed Derrick Henry, I talked about this. I talked about how unstoppable it makes this offense, because you got one of the greatest rushers of all time and the greatest rushing quarterback of all time. Let's not forget, Lamar Jackson had what, 800 rushing yards, and how many design runs was it last year? So that's the thing about it, right? Like, having Derrick Henry opens up so much for this offense. You got DeAndre Hopkins now, you got Zay Flowers, right? Like, it's going to be a very interesting season. Of course, Bate, right? Of course, Bate, and I think honestly, DeAndre Hopkins might open up some more stuff for Bate, similarly to how I felt like Odell opened some stuff up for other people. I feel like with Derrick Henry, I feel like what this means for the Ravens, the kind of underlying message for the Ravens, the quiet part out loud, is that he wants to win a Super Bowl, and he believes that the Ravens can be that team to help him win one. And the reason I say that is he's 30 to 31 years old, right? He's one of the greatest running backs of all time. He's a bona fide Hall of Famer. and he still was the number 2 rusher in the league over 30, and I say over 30, and I'm not saying like number 2 rusher in the league over 30. No, I'm saying like he was number 2 rusher in the league and he was over 30. So because of that, right? Because of that, this is a big signing. I think the underlying message, the quiet part out loud of this message is Derrick Henry believes in his heart of hearts that the Ravens can win a Super Bowl. If not 2. Because he re-signed for 2 years, right? The Ravens could win a Super Bowl. I would love to see the Ravens play their game in the dang on playoffs. It would be easy. It would be simple because that's how talented this offense really is. But anywho, look, y'all. Derrick Henry back as a Raven. I think it's big. Y'all. I think it's big. I think he just creates so much havoc as a running back. He creates so much havoc, and really, it's the part of the Ravens offense, and I don't want to say we because I don't want to limp y'all up in my opinions, but I think it's a part of the Ravens offense that I didn't realize we needed was Derrick Henry, an elite running back. And I mean the elite of the elite, because the reason I say I didn't feel like it was because look at how good Gus was. Look at how good JK was, right? Look at how good literally any running back that you put back there, Melvin Gordon, right? Look at how good these guys were. Keaton Mitchell, he had his time in the sun back there. That's another thing too, and I almost forgot. But that's another thing too that I feel like Derrick Henry allows for the Ravens to do. Ease Keaton Mitchell back in. You know that Derrick Henry can carry the load. You know that Derrick Henry can carry the load. So ease Keaton Mitchell back in. So that way you got one heck of a guy after Derrick Henry decides to let it go. Now, I mean, I know, of course, Justice Hill is still there too, so that helps too. But I think honestly, if Justice Hill has the season he had last year, again this year, he's getting time. He's not going to be a Raven after this season, unless I got my contracts mixed up. I don't think he'll be a part of the Ravens roster. Raven keep hitting my darn light. Look, I don't think he'll be a part of the Ravens roster, honestly. I don't know how long he's got left on his deal, but I just don't. I don't see that happening. I don't see him staying if he has a chance to get paid. So, how y'all feeling? Look, I got one more topic for y'all. All right, I got one more topic for y'all, and I'm getting out of here. All right, I held y'all for too long. But shout out to Flowers Muse. All right, because I feel like he always got some of the best questions. Right, he always got some of the best questions. So I'm gonna pull it up for y'all to see. And I want to get y'all's opinion on this while I'm giving my opinion on this. All right. So I didn't mess it up. All right. So now I know my notifications now. All right. But let's pull it up. So, question of the day, at least for the Ravens front of everything. And I want to hear from you guys as well. Option A or option B? Option A is the Ravens win back-to-back Super Bowls and then miss the playoffs for 10 years straight. I didn't really read this before I came on here. I definitely made a decision before I read this. The Ravens make the playoffs every year, but don't win a Super Bowl until Lamar's final season. So, see, it made it hard on me now because I didn't see the last bit of that. I really didn't. She was 10 years from now. So Lamar Jackson will be 38, but he had 2 Super Bowls under his belt. Right? He had 2 Super Bowls under his belt. And I'm going to make this big because Dr. Charles, or maybe Charles, Dr. Charles said 2 rings are greater than 1. And I definitely agree. All right. I definitely agree. I'm still going to pick option A. And let me tell y'all why. All right. Let me tell y'all why. So I think I would want the 2 Super Bowls more. Honestly, I wish he would have put a 3-peat because I think everybody would pick the 3-peat too because it's history, right? I think everybody would pick the 3-peat because it's history. But back-to-back Super Bowls is still historic, right? It's still very, very hard to do. And I feel like the value of 2 Super Bowls in general, right, is better than missing 10 years of the playoffs. Now, I guess that's the thing, because we can have a conversation about legacy and what does that mean for like Lamar's legacy and the Ravens' legacy, but still you got the 2 Super Bowls. So it's like if Eli's legacy can live on, we know for a fact that more than likely the Ravens will still be in the conversation. They just gonna have to miss the playoffs because of the scenario. But I would honestly take the back-to-back Super Bowls. Like, because, I mean, option B is Ravens will make the playoffs every year, but don't win a Super Bowl till Lamar's final season. The unfortunate thing about it is that means you can't win 2, right? You only get 1. You only get 1. And I think I would rather, like, I understand probably the emotion and the moment it would be for Lamar Jackson in this scenario to win a Super Bowl in his last season. But I think the thought of winning back-to-back Super Bowls, the thought of winning not only back-to-back Super Bowls, trading back-to-back Super Bowls for 10 years straight of missing the playoffs, I'm telling y'all, man, I gotta go with the back-to-back Super Bowls, man. Because, I mean, I think that's hard to do regardless. So I'm going with that one, but I definitely hope you guys enjoyed the show today. I definitely hope you guys did. Remember, look, y'all, the Be More Show, all major podcasts and platforms, check us out, all right? Check us out. When I say us, I mean us, okay? Check us out because y'all be helping me out so much so with this show, and I appreciate it. But look, the Be More Show, all major podcasts and platforms. We're talking about YouTube. We're talking about Facebook, which I don't know if there's a technically podcast. I mean, YouTube is, but I don't know if it's... Anyway, look, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all your favorites, all major podcasting platforms. So check us out on all of those, or at least your favorite one, y'all. But I definitely hope you guys enjoyed the show. Look, y'all. I'll see y'all on the next episode of the Be More Show. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We're on the road to 100. All right, so we're trying to get there, and I appreciate y'all for just hanging out with me. All right, we'll see you guys on the next one, y'all. All right, until next time.